Inside of every Black woman of power and purpose is a little girl of some sort. Sometimes she's wounded, sometimes she's playful, sometimes she's rambunctious, sometimes she's bratty and sassy, but she's still there and she comes out when she comes out. Well, given that's what's so for us as women, the same is true for Black men. There's a little boy inside of him, and he comes out playful and mischievous and silly and all the things, okay? And I think we know this. I think we know this, except when we get into relationship. Then it's like, oh, hell no. You need to understand me. At least it's been that way for me. Well, this is the thing. How are we ever going to be able to really thrive as a community if if you and I, sis, don't really learn how to tend to the little boy inside that's inside of every grown ass man? Hello, I'm Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and today is kind of fun and breezy. I want to talk about love, okay? And I got some teaching points. I done laid this all the way out, but before I go in, please make sure you subscribe and download the Hot Mess Millionaire podcast. And thank you for leaving amazing reviews. Please share the love. Please make sure you share. Please make sure you tag. Please make sure you comment, post, do all the things, okay? I'm committed that we thrive as a community. I am. I'm here for it. I don't think we can do it without Black men. And I know we're powerful. I know, girl, I ain't even tripping off that. But what I'm committed to is that we win together. And because of the historical impact of North American chattel slavery specifically, there are certain historical wounds I'm going to breeze through today, okay? And I have that really contextualize the difference in terms of the traumas that Black men and Black women face, or that we live through today, as well as some, like, I think I have 7 teaching points around really being how to empower power without losing your power, okay? So that's what we're doing today. Please make sure you tag, post, share. Sharing is an act of love. And I can't do this without you, and I wouldn't want to, okay? So please make sure you do that. And I think the only other thing is, in the notes, in my description, in my notes, I have 2 links. One is for the Girl app. It is my digital space that I'm building and creating, launching in 2022. Woohoo! Woot 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 woot! But if you want to be an early adapter and be in a conversation with me once a month with a group of women who are also early adapters, just talking girl talk, please go to www.thegurl.com/pre-sale. They're included in the pre-sale is $25,000 worth of business training. I included it because I want you to make your paper, girl. I need you economically and emotionally emancipated, and I'm serious about it. I've already done 5 million. If you go ahead and do what I tell you with those, you'll make your money, okay? And you won't have to work with me directly. So that's that. And I'm also including, for those of you who just want to be part of being in the know about the Girl app around the digital space I'm creating, just go to the app info link in the chat. I'm sorry, in the description, in the notes, and just put your name on the list. So each time I do an update, you'll be notified. Okay? So that's that. Okay, I got all my caveats in, so let's just go all the way in to love. Okay, so girl, I'm gonna have to put on my glasses for this. I'm dating. Okay, I have a boyfriend, and I'm being with all of the practices I have in place that don't serve him. Okay? Now, let me say this before I go all the way in. How can I say this, God? Let me put it. This conversation is for Black women. If you're not a Black woman, you're a guest. Please respect my house. I'm not trying to make things fair. I'm not trying to be politically correct. I have no interest in that. I have an interest in Black women thriving, okay? And so what I'm tending to are Black women. And right now I'm talking about how Black women and Black men interact because of the historical wound of trauma from slavery. And so that being said, this conversation for Black women. If you're not a Black woman, it's not for you. So please do not get offended. Don't try to turn the conversation to you. Don't flex on me, Black man. No, it's not necessary. Okay. If you let me love on your sisters, I'll take care of a lot of the stuff that you don't like. Okay, so I got this message from one dude, a really smart man, and he was talking about I'm here for the brothers. I'm like, okay, good, and he had some really valid points. My point is, dude, get your own platform, do your thing. We need you. You don't need to come on my platform and try to empower Black men because it wasn't built for that. It's built for Black women, and you're a welcome guest in my house, but please do not put your feet on the fucking furniture. Okay, don't do that. It's not necessary. Okay, and so I just have to say that just in case, because I know I'm talking about Black men, and sometimes it can be misconstrued that I'm talking to them, but I'm not. I'm talking to you. Okay, sis? So keep that in mind. Second thing is, when it comes to loving a Black man, one of the things that we have not accounted for as women, as Black women specifically, are the wounds that they have because of the institution of North American slavery. I'm not talking present tense stuff. I'm not talking about the popo. I'm not talking about jobs. I'm not talking about that. I think that's a different thing. I am talking about being whipped, punished, demeaned, taken from, pimped out in front of your family, Black men on the plantation. I am talking about being castrated, burned, tarred, and feathered, being whipped, being sodomized in front of your children on the plantation. I am talking about watching your children be sold away from you and mass raping your woman, and you can't do shit about it unless you die. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about wounds. Y'all can talk about today. Go on and do it. I'm never talking about today. As far as I'm concerned, today is a watered down version of yesterday, specifically when it comes to trauma. When it comes to Black trauma, we have a history of it. And there are survivors. I don't see you sharing. I don't see it, Lord. I don't see you sharing. Oh, okay. There are certain survival strategies that we have that are invisible because they have become our norm. Okay. And one of those survival strategies we have as Black women is we relate to Black men like they're fucking well. And they're not. There's no way they could be well because we're not well. We're healing. We know we're healing. We're actively healing. We have safe spaces to say we're healing. Okay? They don't. So as far as they're concerned, they're fine and you're wrong. You're the problem. You're the one with the wounds and the issues, right? They don't know they're wounded. They don't know. And I'm going to tell you why they don't know. Because as men in society that is rooted in white supremacy and rooted in patriarchy, it's set up such that a Black male cannot be vulnerable without some kind of punitive consequence. And it was the same thing on the plantation. Now, we know that theoretically, but we don't think about it in our relationships. So let me give you an example. Black women, we have a historical wound rooted in North American chattel slavery. And I could say, honey, I could say colonialism, but I want to be responsible for my area of research from Stanford. So I don't want to lie, but map it on, okay, to my sisters who are from Canada and from the West Indies and from Africa and from the French, from anywhere we've been colonized, right? But Black women, we have a historical wound around being heard because our no's were not honored. Our voice was not honored. When we said no, they still took from us. They still forced us to work. They still forced us to labor. They still forced us to have babies. They still forced themselves on us. So we have a historical wound around not being heard. So what you're going to bump into, if you don't understand that, is that we have a practice of having to get the last word in because we will not be heard. Does it make sense? That's a historical wound. It has all its roots in the violations of the Black body, Black female body in slavery. We don't hold it like that. We think it's a personality, but it's not. It's a wound. If it's not a wound, then stop it. If you ever want to know, if you really ever want to really understand how wounded you are as a human being, and I could say this for all races, but I haven't studied all races, so I don't talk about all races. I only talk about my area of expertise, right? Try to stop it. Let yourself get into argument with your boo and watch yourself not be able to not say something back, you know, or get the last word in, or set the record straight, or whatever version of it that you do. Okay, I got all of them. I do all of the above, right? But that's a historical wound. Just like being strong is a survival strategy that actually kept our ancestors alive. It is not a character trait, but we relate to it like a character trait because we're socially rewarded for it. Okay, those are survival. Those are survival strategies that were rooted in North American slavery. Same thing with black men. Black men, y'all may want to write this down. I got some notes for you today. Black men have a historical wound around being respected. And you got to understand how that looks. Given the history of slavery and the lack of power and the intentional demise of his power, so he was less of a threat, Black men have had to contend with a level of violence and violation to their bodies, more so than Black women. I'll tell you that. That is rooted in really having them relate to themselves as powerless. Okay? And that was all designed to keep the free labor of North American chattel slavery in place. Okay? And the viciousness in which they were penalized and hurt and humiliated has them have a very, very, very high sensitivity to respect. I hope y'all caught that. Did y'all catch that? I'm waiting. Where my truth tellers at? Where y'all at? I'm waiting on you. Where you at? So so for example, let's say a Black woman needs to be heard and a Black man needs respect. And let's say they bump into each other, they clash, right? A Black woman, she's going to speak up, and that may mean she raises her voice. That may mean she gets animated. That may mean she gets gets passionate about it, right? The more she speaks up, the more he feels like she's talking down. Does that make sense? And it's not that she's talking down. It's that he has the wound about being respected. And because it's such a sensitive thing to him, he doesn't even know that he has a wound around being respected. He has it that you shouldn't talk to him like that. How dare you not talk? How dare you talk to him this way? He is a man. What's your problem? He doesn't know it's a wound. He doesn't know it's a wound. I'm not even tripping. God have mercy. He doesn't see it as a wound. He sees it as you're disrespecting him as a man. He doesn't have the language of wounds. He doesn't have the language of trauma. He doesn't have language for it because he's never had to do the self-reflective work to actually unpack this shit. Do you understand? And I need you to get that early on in this conversation. You are holding him to a standard in which he has no language. He might as well be Helen Keller. He might as well have no language, be deaf, blind, and dumb, because he has no access to actually doing the necessary self-reflection to actually see that his behaviors are wounded in trauma. He may think it's stress or work or oppression, but that's not the same as owning trauma. And to be fair to him, where the fuck he gonna talk about it at? Men don't talk. Patriarchy trains men to die for us. They will send men off to war. That is how disposable men, not just Black men, men are. A man is designed to be able to produce some kind of outcome or product, or he has no value. Do you understand the nature of masculinity with regard to that you ain't shit if you ain't got shit? If you don't have a car or a job or can provide, as far as society has positioned men across the board, they have no value. They have no value. And we as Black women have ingested that oppression. We have ingested that sexism against Black men. And we don't see that we have because we have a standard called they should know. And they don't. And I'm confident there are some Black men who do, so please don't come and nitpick me like, well, some do, my father, and thank God some men do. Does it make sense? Thank God some men do. But I am trying to help you understand why you keep bumping into brick walls with Black men is because you are relating like he has the capacity to take care of you emotionally, and he doesn't. I know that's hard to hear. So calm down. And for all my brothers, breathe through it. Okay? I'm not saying he's not emotional. I'm not saying he's not emotionally available. I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm not saying any of that. So please do not go there. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that because we have wounds, we have trauma because of the history of North American chattel slavery. We're not, until we unpack it, it runs us. Okay? And given what he went through in that institution and afterward and Jim Crow, it just gets perpetuated generationally. Okay? So unless he's done the necessary internal excavation, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about sense of self. I'm talking about self-reflectivity. I am talking about going inward and doing the real emotional fucking labor to be aware of being aware. That is a whole different skill set than religion. That's a whole different thing than what you believe in terms of a higher power, and that still counts too. But that's not what I'm talking about. Black women as a group, we have been trained to go to school, self-reflective, read books, self-reflective, group, sorority, self-reflective, groups, communities, God, networking, parties. Like we're socially set up to be self-reflective. Therapy, support groups, sister circles, howling at the moon, burning some bras, whatever it takes. Okay, where does he get that? The truth is, he doesn't. And when we relate like he can, we're not being responsible for that. He's a human being who has not been protected, who has not been supported, who has not been given the tools or the time to heal, so he can function optimally in this world. He hasn't. He's been working with a handicap, and I'm not suggesting that makes him handicapped. Okay, I'm saying that the playing field hasn't been leveled for him, and we act like it has. We hold him to the standard of, you are a man, you should. Why? Because white people say so? Because we read it in a Holocaust romance book? Because we saw a movie? How come we expect him to do everything for us, specifically emotionally? And I would go for provision as well, all right? But we don't account for him being a human being who may be scared, who may have a little boy inside of him who's been hurt, who's been violated, who's been tarnished, who's been torn. Where's the grace for him? Where the fuck is the grace for him? Where? The standard is so steep. There's no grace for him. In my opinion, at least I know for myself, I have treated Black men emotionally the way that the police have treated Black men in society. And I'm guilty of that, and I'm fully responsible for that. I'm clear I've done that. I'm done doing that. Okay? And so what I want you to hear, my friend, is if you can take the case that Black men have wounded Black baby boys in them, just like Black women have wounded baby girls within ourselves, what would it take to tend to that? What would it take to grant some grace and some mercy? And I want you to hear me when I tell you, I'm not asking you to give a pass on bad behavior. Please, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not talking about the Black men who are so bitter, who are so cynical, resigned, vicious, ugly bullies. I'm not talking about them. Fuck them. That one, I'm not talking about them, because they're a casualty of war. We lost them. So I'm not talking about the bullies. I'm not talking about the vicious guys. I'm not talking about the users and the tricksters. I'm not talking about that group. There's a whole lot more Black men who are great Black men, but you don't see them because what you've been trained to look at is the motherfuckers who are trifling. Society trains us to look at the trifling ones. We don't hear about the quiet guys who are nurturing their families or tending to their children. We don't hear about them. They're not on TV. They're not in social media. We just hear and see the ones who are on the corner, drinking, have a lot of women, players, or getting over on women. That's what we see. So inadvertently, you're trained to this, boo. So be clear. I'm not suggesting it's your fault, but it is your problem, because you got to live with him. Whether it's your brother, your uncle, your boy, your boyfriend, your boss, if you don't take on really getting the understanding of this, we won't make it as a community. We will be part of a caste system that's 7 generations deep. It's a real word. I don't see you sharing. I don't see you sharing. Clearly, this matters to me more than you. I firmly believe and know that I hit my first million. It was my men who got me there. When I hit my 5 million, it was men who got me there. It was always Black men. They've always made the difference for me. You understand? And it wasn't necessarily romantic. It was black men who lent their genius to my dreams. My women may support me, but my brothers carry me. Very different. They have a very different skill set, very different function. Okay. So when it comes to your money, you need to get up under this, because until you understand how to empower the little boy or the black man in your life, or all of them, then you're going to be struggling. You're going to be struggling. And you don't have to struggle. If you can let go of the conditioning and the programming and the social expectations that as a man, he should, whatever your should is. Your should could be, who knows what your should is? I don't really know, but I'm confident that you know that he should open doors, or he should pay for dinner, or that he should take care of his kids. I mean, and I get that. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying no to that, but there's a difference between a should and an opportunity for action. That's a whole nother level. Can't get into that today. We can talk about it later if you want. But what I want to get into today is I have some teaching points I want to run by you. And I put them in a note so you'll have them without me, okay? But the reason I put these notes in is because I want to support you, sis, in having empowering relationships with black men, period. Period. End of story, okay? But the main thing before I get into the teaching is I need you to start to account for his humanity. I need that from you. I need you to start to see him not as a black man, but as somebody's little boy that didn't get taken care of, that was neglected, that was wounded, that was traded on, that was pissed on, that was treated like shit. I need you to see that part. I'm not saying I do anything with it. I'm saying I need you to see it. I need you to start to account for that. And I'm not saying it to let him off the hook for bad behavior. That's not, I don't even want you to deal with motherfuckers who have bad behavior. I'm not talking about regular stuff. I'm not talking about guys who are just really, who hate women, who hate their mothers. I'm not talking about that group. So please know that. I'm not talking about abusers or beaters. I'm not talking about that group. That group is not you. You know, they don't deserve to be in your life. And if you have them in your life, you need to get them out of your life because they are beneath you. You should never have somebody in your life who does not honor you and kiss the fucking ground you walk on. If he's not doing that, then why are you tolerating him? Why would you tolerate him? Oh, he's a project nigga. I got something about that too. I'll show you. You turn men into projects. I'm gonna get it in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna get it in. But what I'm trying to have you hear is that as a black woman, you have more power than you realize. Across the board, really. But specifically in terms of your impact and influence on the black men in your lives. You set the tone. Whatever you tolerate is what you're going to have, okay? But more importantly, what's most salient is really taking the case that you and I have inherited different assumptions and standards and ideals of what black masculinity should look like and what they should do and how they should act and how they should behave because of the social conditioning. With no accounting for, they never got taught that. They never learned that. Their daddy's been in jail too. They didn't learn that. Where would they get it from? Where would they get it from if they had it? Okay? So if you're not accounting for that, then you're going to be frustrated because you have a lot of ideals and unfulfilled expectations and you will relate to them like they're the truth. At least I have. And I'm not doing that anymore. So what I'm arguing for, what I'm building for is when you can actually account for the humanity of the black men in your life and throw some grace and mercy on it, it gives you the access to influence. It gives you the access to influence. You can't get that access if you're making them wrong or invalidating them or arguing with them and fighting them over petty things. Because petty grows into big. Okay? And because there's a sensitivity around respect that is so ingrained, that's so rooted in trauma that they don't even know they have, it is a foolish argument to try to have them hear it because they have no language or reality that is them. There's nothing in society that lets them even look at themselves. They're trained to produce. They're trained to survive. They're trained to provide. They're trained to make money and to work. They're not trained to go within and look to see how can they heal their mother wound, or why, or how to be able to speak without invalidating. Most Black men have been talked down to so badly, that's the only language they have. And then they use it on you. Because no one's talking, that's how people talk to them. And we don't account for that. Okay, so please keep that in mind. My prayers that got in. Someone let me know if that got in. I'm looking. Did that get in? I'm looking because I want to see if it made it in. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. I'm looking. Okay. Okay, great. So I'm gonna let that be what it is. So what I want to go to now, okay, and we're in the same conversation, but I want to get to the teaching points because I have 7 teaching points. Okay, and if you want to follow along, just go to the description, go to the notes, and they're there. So teaching that at the bottom of the page. After I did some videos, and I just love TD Jakes. He makes sense to my logic, so I threw him in there. There's a bunch of short videos, and one is long that I think is really badass. So I'm going to invite you to do that. Okay, as resources. And I put 2 pieces in. I put one of my videos in because people liked it. Okay, so the first teaching point is you cannot empower a Black man until you have healed your relationship with your father. A lot of us have broken or non-existent relationships with our fathers. It is through the lens of that relationship that we see and relate to men. I took on healing my father wound. It took me 3 years. It's because I healed it that I can allow myself to be loved by a Black man. When you heal that relationship, I said here. When you hear, it should be healed, y'all. I have it healed. When you heal that relationship, even if your father was absent, his absence was a presence, and you need to heal. You need to heal all you made that man that mean. You made that mean to be free. There's typos in this, y'all. Forgive me. I can fix it later. You make room for a man who is worthy of your love to show up in the atmosphere. So, even if you don't know your daddy, I've never met my father, but his absence has been a presence. No one protected me because he wasn't there. Now, he could have been in jail. He could have been dead. I don't know. I don't care. He wasn't there. Fui. Okay. I had to heal that even though all the bad things happened after, blah, 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 my father actually kept my mother from aborting me. And I had to really take the case like, wow, before I was born, somebody loved me. Someone wanted me. Someone protected me. In my mother's womb, my father said, she shall be, right? And it took me a minute to realize that if he did nothing else, that was enough. That was an act of love. That was an act of protection. That was an act of provision. You see what I'm saying? And once I was able to accept that and let the parts that I hated and felt bad about, let them go and chalk them up to humanity. In the midst of all the ugly that was going on in the 70s, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, all the stuff that was happening, right? He made sure I was alive. And that shifted my relationship to Black men. Now I have it that Black men love me and they take care of me, they provide for me, and they protect me. And they do, because it's true for me now. You see what I'm saying? And it took me 3 years to contend with the loss and the grieving and the expectations and to unpack like how come he wasn't, and be like really get to like he's a human being who did the best he could. And we don't even know all the facts. Like my mom could have kept him from me. It's all kinds of things. But I took it on. And I'm inviting you to take it on. If you have any father issue going on, if you find yourself acting out with any kind of Black man, or you're attracting Black men that remind you of your father, anything, then take it on. The same way you take on your money, take on your men. Take on your father thing, okay? Number 2, this is big. Don't speak until you can say it with love. When I'm hot, I got a tongue on me. I can say some shit, okay? When I'm hot, I don't care, and I say bad things, okay? So I've learned with all of my men, even if this across the board, is that I wait until I can say it with love. If I can't say it with love, I tap out. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not talking right now. I don't have anything to say. I'm not mad. I just have nothing to say, okay? And I have to wait until I've sorted myself out, talked to my therapist maybe, talked to my mom, did my prayers, talked to God, until I can get myself at the source of it. Like, okay, what can I be responsible for? I know he said that, but what's going on with me that I'm so hurt by it? So I tend to the hurt. I don't tend to him. I don't tend to my men. That I leave that to God. I tend to me, so I stop being triggered by them. I hope y'all caught that. I have a whole course around healing history. It's about that, but that's deeper than that. This, okay. Number three, okay. Let me say okay. Let's speak. Don't speak. Okay, don't speak until you can say it with love. Okay, this one strategy takes practice and emotional maturity. When tempers are high, stop the action. Do something neutral like playing cards or watch TV. Watch TV. Let it be. Do your prayers. Then wait. Don't rush it. If you give him space, he will circle around to the upset in some way at some point. By then, you have time to reflect and say what you need to say with love. Okay? So I just want you to, so please be mindful. You know how they say don't send an email within the 24 hours? Don't speak until you can say it with love. If you can train yourself to do that, you will save yourself a lot of frustration and a lot of hard feelings. It takes practice, but it's worth the dividends. Okay? Number three, stop dating project niggas. Don't think you can change him. When you turn a man into a project, you shackle yourself to a person who has no commitment to the version of himself that you see. Just stop. Stop. You don't need to be needed that way. Don't do that. If you're doing that, stop it now. If you've done it, I understand, me too. I totally get it. Don't do it. Don't date someone's potential. Don't marry someone's potential. Don't get in bed with somebody's potential. Please don't. Please don't. If he's not already if you can't love him the way he is right now, then don't fuck with it. Don't do it. It's just a smokescreen, and it will be an uphill battle that will drain years out of your life. Please don't do this. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. Okay. Number four, hang out with people who are where you want to go. In business, we have a practice. If you want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires. If that means joining a mastermind or flying to an event or volunteering for a charity, you find a way or you make one to get in the room. This is real for me. This is what we do. Okay. So the same applies to attracting a Black man worthy of your love. You must get into new networks, not neighborhoods, not churches, cis networks. Think galas, football groups, winery groups, hiking meetups, book clubs, etc. When you put yourself in his orbit and you be your amazing self, he will find you. I promise. You got to stop fishing in the ponds that don't have what you want. I've been getting all these messages that said, "Oh, I'm only, in this state. There's only bad Black men, and blah blah." And then change the fucking state. Leave the state. Go somewhere else. Don't keep going to the same well and getting mad about the water you get. You have to do something different. If you have to pay for a professional matchmaker, then pay for a professional matchmaker. If you want quality people, you got to be where quality people hang out. You can't think you're going to meet a motherfucker in the club and think he's going to be great at the stock market. And I'm not saying he couldn't be, but it's a gamble. If he's meeting you on a street corner, then you're gambling. What I prefer, let's meet at I don't know, something. I like hiking. I like people who donate themselves to charities. I like people who do self-help books and books. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me meet someone there. You know what I mean? Like, put yourself in new networks. It's a big deal. It's huge. If you keep hanging out with dudes who are not where you want to be, then you're going to marry one of those. You're going to be with one of those. And I'm telling you to your face, I've done this. I have done this. Okay. I cannot tell you how many frogs I have kissed and fucked before I got to this one. Okay. And so what I'm trying to help you understand is the circles you hang out in tell you who you are for yourself. If you're a person who's committed to being a millionaire and you start putting yourself around millionaires, you're going to learn new things and you're going to meet millionaires. Okay. Your standards are going to change. Your clothes are going to change. Mine did. Everything changed. You see what I'm saying? And so by doing that, I got into different groups. I got invited to different parties. I met different kinds of people. I started having different kind of friends. Okay? And you can't do that if you're staying in the same place you've been your whole life. Okay? I hope that landed. 4, hang out with, I heard that. 5, don't expect him to be able to emotionally support you. This is a hard one, and I know it is, but it's the truth. Both you and he is wounded. Are wounded. I don't know if it's he. I think I said it wrong. It's unfair to expect him to be able to tend to your emotional needs when he is discovering he actually has wounds. Instead of going to him to understand your emotional needs, Call your best friend, your mom, or your therapist. Be accountable for your own emotional wellness. By so doing, you stop being triggered by his emotional triggers. This one practice will stop you from living at the effect of his emotional swings and pride. This is peace. This is a hard one because we have been taught socially that Black men should be emotionally everything we need. We can talk to them and all. I strongly believe that until it becomes normalized for Black men to do therapy, to do self-reflective work, you're dealing with you're walking in a landmine. I would prefer for you to actually have your support structure for your emotional wellness be outside of your relationship. I'm not saying you can't have emotional accessibility to Black men. I'm not saying he can't hear it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you make it his job to emotionally support you, when he has no training in it, you are gambling with your wellness. And I mean that, sis. And no matter what you think, if he has not done the internal healing, if he hasn't done the therapy, if he hasn't done the self-reflective internal excavation, where he's accountable for his impact, for his words, for his actions, for his absence, if he hasn't done that, you are fucking with your life. You are. And I'm trying to hook you up early so you don't have to go through that, because I went through that. It wasn't any fun, okay? And that doesn't mean he's a bad man. Doesn't mean any of that. That just means he's a growing man. He's a healing man. And if he's with you, he probably heal faster because you're like, dude, handle your shit. Love you. Get a therapist, okay? But you can't expect him to because he doesn't have the equipment. Unless he does, and if he does, God bless him. God bless him. But I'm not saying, and I'm not suggesting every Black man doesn't have the equipment. I am saying, for the most part, they're not cultivated to do so. And if you have one that does, thank God. Good on you. I'm talking to the ones who don't. So please don't spice words like, well, I know, honey, I know. It's not. I'm not speaking in generalities. I'm telling you that this is applicable to the men. It's applicable to. Okay. Okay. Number 6. Only God can heal you. Your man is not equipped. I think I said that. No, I said I was getting there. It's inappropriate to expect. Okay. It's inappropriate to. Okay. It's inappropriate to expect your God to be able to do so. The principles apply the other way around as well. What you can do is create a safe space for him to speak his truth and bear witness instead of trying to help him. Healing emotional wounds, traumas, and triggers are between him and God. Your job is to love him, not heal him or fix him. That is not your job. You can't do it. Only God can heal us. I can't even try to heal me. Thank God Lord loves me. You know what I'm saying? So I really want you to understand that healing is not a game. It's a spiritual wound. People have to heal. There's nothing you can do. You can comfort somebody, but they have to heal. That's like you have to take on your own healing, like he has to take on his. But you can love him. You create a safe space for him to speak his truth. You see what I'm saying? But it's not yours to try to fix him. You can't fix him. You can't. And if you do that, you're going to get your feelings hurt and you're going to get exhausted. Okay? 7, schedule baby boy love. Pick a day and tend to the little boy within your grown-ass man. It could be trimming his beard, giving him a pedicure, or throwing a private party replete with toy trucks, baseball cards, or dirt bikes. It doesn't matter the activity. What matters is you are giving him permission to not be strong. I hope you can hear that. For that day or weekend or whatever, you are nurturing him without sex. Let me say that again. You are not fucking him. This is not about that. This is an emotional intimacy. Do you understand? This is you tending to that which is not normally tended to inside of Black men. I'm not kidding. You can hide behind sex. Trust me, I've done it, especially if you're good at it. Thank you very much. My point is, sex can be a distraction when it comes to emotional intimacy. Getting to know somebody. You want to actually get to know him. You got to learn him if you want to really be effective with him. Okay? And if you top him off, he's not present. He's in his flesh. He's not, you want him emotionally available. Okay? You want to tend to that because you'll learn something about him. You'll learn, if you make it safe enough, he'll be able to share things with you he can't share any other way. And a lot of times we use sex to get intimacy. I'm asking you not to use sex to get intimacy. I'm asking you to tend to him to get intimate. Tend to him. Does he like baseball cards? then take him to a baseball game. I don't know. Figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. You know, my guy, he's a lot. He has I got him, I did a whole baby boy day, a weekend for him. And I got him a shit ton of different games. They were all under six. I mean, dinosaurs, terrariums, cars, all kinds of stuff. Because he's a thinking man. And the point of it was, the point was for him to feel nurtured and give him stuff that he didn't get as a kid. That was it. That was it. And I'm tending to something that wasn't tended to when he was younger. And that's a sacred gift that makes a difference for him and his sense of self. I am mothering that which was not mothered. Does it make sense? And not because I'm trying to be a mother type, and I'm really good at that part, but I can tend to you. I can love you. Okay? So I'm asking you to take that on and don't complicate it with the sex. The sex is, do sex the next day or the next week. You know what I'm saying? But in this one, when you're nurturing him, when you're baby boy loving on him, let it be intimate. Let it be emotionally intimate. Okay? Um, okay, the only thing that matters is that he gets your undivided attention to be a child. It's a priceless gift you give him. Okay? Okay, so I ran a little long today, but I'm okay with that. And I might have to fix these typos. But my whole point is this. It would be silly to think that we are not wounded given what we've gone through as a people. There's nothing wrong with being wounded. There's nothing wrong with having trauma. There's nothing wrong with it. It is appropriate. It is human. It is just part of being alive. Okay? So there's no shame here. There's no judgment or condemnation. What there is being accountable for the sexism and the positioning of Black men with no grace. Okay? That's all it is being accountable. And again, if you're dealing with somebody who's being abusive, then call the cops. If you're being with somebody who's being trifling, then let them go. If you're being with somebody who won't commit, then stop giving him your time. Those are different things. But for the brothers who love us, who are taking care of us, who are demonstrating they're in it with us, who are healing with us, who are growing with us, let's meet them halfway. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's give them the space, the grace, and the room to speak their truth with no penalty, no condemnation, no correction. And being able to tend to an aspect of him that he doesn't get tended to because he's a man. There's no permission for that. But it's that he can have that position. He can have that permission with you if you let him. Do you have to? Absolutely not. You don't have to do any of this. This is like, look, you don't have to do anything. But I will say this. America is built to tear us apart. It is. It's built to tear us apart. Okay? It's built to keep us apart, to keep us suppressed, to keep us oppressed, and to keep us at each other's throats. It's built like that. It's designed for that. It was built for that. And it is going to take a level of healing at the level of cultural consciousness to have us be able to be self-sustaining without any dependency or any type of white supremacist power structure. And if we're going to do that, we would have to be able to do it together. And the only way to do it together is to heal. And in order to heal, you gotta access grace and mercy. You gotta forgive. You gotta let go. You gotta be all right with, okay, people are they're imperfect and they're wonderful. And you've got to be at the kind of human being, the kind of woman who is accountable for herself, her own emotional wellness, her own money, her own space, her own time. You have to be that kind of chick. If you're not that kind of chick, then you're going to leave yourself vulnerable to actually having to do things and tolerate things that really will eat at you, that will tear you down. And I want you up. I want you to flourish. I want you to thrive. I want you to be loved the way you want to be loved. And you can have it. If I can, you can. Trust me, I'm a hot mess on a good day. Rest assured. Really. So it's not special. It's just that I'm committed to living and fulfilling my destiny. And as Black women, you know, sis, you're God wrapped in flesh. You are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. You are the head and not the tail. You are the lender, not the borrower. You are the righteousness of God. That's the fuck who you are. Okay? So you can do anything you choose to put your mind to. None of this is hard. It's just a matter of you committing. And when you commit, the universe moves. That's how badass you are. That is how powerful you are. That is how magical you are. If you want your relationships to thrive, you do the healing. You model it. You walk it. And the people around you will look and say, damn, what's that? And they will start to copy. And when there's an opening, hear me when I tell you, when there's an opening, you have the opportunity for influence. And influence is a powerful thing. Okay? This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. I love you, sis. I love you, bro. I love you, fam. I love you, allies. If you are fed by this word, this life-giving word, this life-affirming word, please pay it forward. This is a gift. I've literally done, I've included a whole lesson in there, okay, that y'all did not even have to spend a dime on. And you have the notes to prove it, because I want us well, and we can win. And we can win together. I love you, sis. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. Please share this video. Please share this broadcast. Goodbye for now.